Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. I just want to hop on here to talk about crypto market as well as just stock market as well. A little bit about stock market, mostly about cryptos. Yeah, so today is Monday, January 27th, and it's about 4:45 Eastern right now. And we saw Bitcoin dump uh, earlier today. I think maybe uh, at the biggest dump, lowest point, it was probably about like more than 5% dump. And SPY was dumping also really heavily at the open and throughout the day, but it's bouncing from, this support line here I drew. Um, and NVIDIA, the biggest news of all, went down 16 or 17% for the day due to the news of this AI, open source AI in China called DeepSeek that was created in about 2 months of work, and it performs almost as well as ChatGPT, but it cost a lot less to run in terms of like CPU power or GPU power, and uh, the energy cost and the amount of money that it took to invest and develop that model. And that gave a lot of concern to the US market about, the viability of NVIDIA and its market leadership in GPU and AI related GPU products. uh, So we'll see how that plays out. I think one good thing about DeepSeek uh, is that it is open source. So it sounds like anyone can take their code and basically duplicate their model to uh, implement into their systems and perhaps even improve upon the models of if they wanted. So we'll see how that pans out. I think overall it is a very, very good development in terms of a giant leap forward in AI. Although I don't like the fact that it's China that holds that leadership in AI right now. I think the US needs to take leadership. So we need to learn in the US how China is doing this and develop better models than they are. The race is on, it's a race towards um, better and better AI for humanity, and US needs to take the lead on that. Um, but I think in the long run, it's gonna be very positive for AI in general, but some stocks may end up not performing as well. Maybe NVIDIA will actually lose its lead because, well, people realize they don't need as much of their powerful GPU products, and they can buy uh, cheaper alternatives. And let me just take a look at other stocks like Micron. Uh, the Micron, also a semiconductor GPU, I think, manufacturer. And dump it a little bit, but not as much. And AMD, oh, dumped 6%, so a lot less than NVIDIA. So maybe there's a little less pessimism in the other smaller uh, semiconductor GPU stocks. Okay. So that's it for the stocks. And let's go to the cryptos. And I'll just tell you what I've learned from this dump and you know, what I'm doing to navigate these this harsh condition. And basically, yeah, Bitcoin is dumping, and crypto in general is dumping along with traditional markets, but it's not dumping as much. The Bitcoin has bounced off of a strong support. This is a good sign, but we'll see how this candle closes in 2 hours. If it's a bullish um, hammer candle like this, then it's looking good. But if it closes like a bigger red candle, then there might be more downside coming up. Um, and one thing that we gotta take a look at this week, we gotta pay attention to is the Fed meeting on Wednesday. That's the Fed decision, and the market is anticipating Fed to keep the interest rate the same. And I mean, given the last CPI report, I think CPI report seemed to suggest that inflation isn't increasing, so that may lead to less hawkish policy by the Fed, which is to either keep the rate unchanged or maybe even cut the rates, which is less likely. But given the fact that Trump uh, is saying that he wants the Fed to cut the rate, maybe that they'll give the Fed some pressure to cut rates, which if the market or if the Fed cuts the rate, then the market will see that as a bullish sign, and the market will start pumping. But for now, the market is cautious and it's probably going to trade sideways until Wednesday to see what the outlook is going to be. If the market, receives the news, whatever happens on Wednesday, really negatively, then we could see Bitcoin go down even lower to the stronger supports around 89,000. So if you look at this trend line, slightly descending trend line here, uh, yeah, it's around 88,500 or 600-ish area. So it's kind of decreasing as the days go on. But if it's bullish, then if the market like reacts really positively to what happens on Wednesday, then we may see just a bounce towards the upside, and probably break to all-time high, especially given just how positive the news has been around cryptos in terms of how friendly the government is to cryptos at this point. Um, so yeah, so I want to talk about some mistakes I made in my leverage trading and what I learned from it, and what I decided to do to sort of navigate and reverse the error a little bit. Hopefully, it pans out. But last week, I opened some position on Doge leverage trades. Let's move. Okay. And WorldCoin. So Doge and WorldCoin. Uh, I think I entered probably around this area. It was like coming near the trend line here for Doge, and I was like, hey, if Doge is going to be on the news a lot because Elon's going to talk about the Doge department, and then uh, that could give a lot of attention to Doge, the token, even though, well, it seemed like, yeah, I heard that Elon Musk actually made the the what do you call that? Like the image of the Department of Governmental Efficiency to be Doge, the dog um, icon, pretty much of the cryptocurrency. So I feel like that would give a lot of mind share to Doge. And just looking at the market cipher around this time, I was like, hey, Doge is kind of pulling back a little bit, but it looks to be uh, it might be a time to buy the dip at this point. So I bought around this area, but yesterday it closed below this trend line, and looking back, I should have closed my leverage position at a loss because of this closing below the trend line. And also just looking at what's coming up this week, the interest rate decision would give way to more volatility, as well as I knew that DeepSeek might dump the market. I didn't understand it fully, yesterday, but looking back, I was like, yeah, that's the signal to close your position at a loss. And if you want to buy lower at support, that's fine, or just pick a different coin that has stronger technicals at this time, which we'll get to later. I'll talk about that. So yeah, actually, I closed this position here, but what I did was I actually let the position go down even more, and I actually bought uh, bought the dip to avoid liquidation, which panned out pretty well because there was a bullish hammer candle, like bouncing off of support, which made me lose less than if I just let the whole situation liquidate my position. Um, I no longer hold Doge, but I I will let you know why and what I did with it. Um, but moving on for a moment to WorldCoin, and I bought this thinking that it was around the time when Trump, you know, had Sam Altman talk about AI, and Trump was also talking about Project Stargate, investing $500 billion into AI in the US, any AI projects, infrastructure, etc. I think that's coming from Japan or something else similar to that. I don't know exact details, but it sounded really good for AI and AI related cryptos, especially WorldCoin is associated with Sam Altman. I think he actually created this token, and it's not directly related to AI, but well, maybe it is related to AI, but it's not AI token in itself. It's like part of this orb that like the product of WorldCoin is like based on this orb that can scan your eye, uh, scan your eyes to determine your identity, and which can help verify that you're human instead of AI. So that's actually going to be really important in the age of AI to verify human versus robot, AI, etc. So this is actually not a bad play, but I think I hopped on it too quickly without seeing real confirmation of bullishness. And in hindsight, I should have seen that. I bought on this candle, it was a green candle that was going up, um, basically at a resistance, the 50 EMA, as well as this like previous candle high right here. I kind of basically bought near the high. And I was like, I don't see why it wouldn't keep pumping, but because I saw that it kind of bounced up off of this trend line here. It was like a strong support. I was expecting it to go up more, but I should have seen the, money flow on the market cipher still like red, and it was like basically decreasing to the downside. Um, and also with the Fed coming up, like the Fed meeting coming up, and also DeepSeek news should have prompted me to realize, hey, um, yeah, it's not good to be holding this coin at this point. And I saw a similar thing with the trend line here yesterday, whereas where the candle closed, there's a full body candle closed below, uh the trend line. I don't know what actually is it full body candle. I don't know what's called when like it doesn't have a wick on the bottom and it just closes down. It's like very, very aggressively red close. You know what I'm talking about. And then surely enough, it just dumps lower to the previous low. It's creating a double bottom right now, sort of, but it's still below this like trend line. And if it can't close above this trend line in the next few days, then it's very bearish. And so I should have closed my position yesterday. But I did something similar with this that I did with Doge, which is I bought the dip to avoid liquidation, uh, which sort of panned out because it bounced up a bit. So then I could exit from that position. And I'll tell you what I did with the the money I got back from Rollcoin, which I suffered some loss. Like what I did with that, I bought a position with that, and that brings me to the next point, which is CFX. And this coin is apparently based in China. And I think because I was just looking at this coin, you know, bouncing up from this trend line, and looks like the money flow on Market Cipher is kind of curving to the upside, and there's a green dot printing, and then we see like this huge green volume, bullish volume, and I was like, maybe this is pumping because of DeepSeek, and I guess the because this is a Chinese blockchain, um, it it somehow has to do. Maybe it stands more to benefit from DeepSeek because it's in from the same country, right? So this is going to be a short-term play for me, and this is not financial advice for anyone. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. But I bought this coin at around actually I yeah, right now at this price point is exactly where I entered this coin, which is about 16.2 cents. And I rolled all of my Doge and a WorldCoin money into this position right here because I think if the DeepSeek narrative continues to dump the market, um, and this coin might hold up. Just looking at the technicals, I think this is good. I mean, one negative thing about it is that it's sort of closing, or at this point, it seems to be the closing price is below this trend line here. But I would want to see this candle close above this trend line to give a more bullish signal. But it doesn't necessarily need to close above it. I just don't want to see it probably close below the high of this previous candle, um, which could signal some dump to the support level or even lower, perhaps, like this level. My liquidation price is about 12.2 cents, which is well below what I think it would dump to if it starts dumping, you know. So I think I'm pretty safe here. But this is going to be short-term trade for me because my price target is going to be I'm going to sell 50% of my holdings or my leverage position around this area if it gets there, which I think it will, hopefully. Nothing's for certain. So take profit here. And then another 50%. Like say if it corrects a little bit, uh, and then it goes up and breaks out, where do I think the next price will be? I think it will be around like 19.5-ish. So that's where I put my limit order to take profit, the other 50%. And it actually might break above 20 cents and it might even visit like 21 cents or beyond, but less likely, I think, to go above this, especially the, yeah, 21.5 cents area, much less likely. But if it does, then I don't mind because, nowadays there are so many altcoins that are diluting the altcoin market that you got to be careful with what altcoins you put into. Um, Whenever I see altcoins pump, most of the time it's going to be like short-term pump and dump. So you just got to take short-term profit. If you see a bullish setup, then a few days later it's good to sell it, especially near certain major resistances. Um, and I'm also seeing this head and shoulder pattern playing out potentially. So you can see this head and shoulder bearish pattern. So we're sort of bouncing upwards to create the right shoulder. And then when we hit, about the 20 cents area, it might dump down again to visit this trend line. But if it when it closes below this trend line, then it could dump downwards to maybe 10-cent level. That's a long way down. If it gets there, it may not get there, but um, that's a potential target, 11 cents or 10 cents ish. And you can even see on a bigger scale, on a longer time frame. I think if you switch it to the week, you can see that as well. It's not as pretty, it's not as clear of a head and shoulder, but I think this is a head and shoulder. Yeah, you can see the left shoulder here. So even on the weekly level, you can see clearly a potential head and shoulder possibly happening here. So yeah, for the long term, I'm definitely not bullish on CFX, but for now, on this current narrative, I'm willing to take a little bit of risk. This is somewhat of a risky bet that I'm betting, but I'm betting that this coin will have a bit of a rally, especially I heard that this coin performs really well around the Chinese New Year for some reason. Uh, because of course this is like a Chinese blockchain. So, and Chinese New Year, when does it start? I think it starts like in 2 days, apparently. So, uh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in 2 days, and potentially I can take profit in 2 days, or at least partially. And what else? Yeah, so that's how I'm navigating it. Basically, in summary, I rolled some of my most bearish positions that might liquidate in the next few days. I rolled that into a more bullish coin for the short term that is pumping due to certain narratives that are driving the market for today and the next few days, probably. So that's what I'm thinking, and let's see how this plays out. Whether I'm right or wrong, let's see. This is a learning experience for me, and hopefully the audience can learn something as well from this. So, um, yeah, hope this helps.